Yet most Australians have never heard of Sir Hubert Wilkins, despite the fact that he's probably this country's greatest adventurer. Although Sir Hubert's ashes are scattered over the North Pole, his birthplace has been restored as a permanent memorial to a man in danger of being forgotten in our history. Mike Sexton reports.
This is Hallett, 2 hours drive north of Adelaide. Like other towns in this area, it grew on the back of wool and wheat as pioneers cleared and farmed the hard land of South Australia's mid-north. And from this unremarkable town came a remarkable Australian, Sir Hubert Wilkins.
He was just an ordinary country boy when he left here, and something must have spurred him on to better things, because he certainly did some amazing things after that.
Those amazing things included becoming a pioneer aviator, cinematographer, war hero, polar explorer, climatologist, naturalist, balloonist and submariner. And apparently all done with such modesty that history's all but forgotten him.
He just wasn't the sort of person that wanted to make a big show of himself. He thought it was sort of things that had happened. I think he think that they'd rather happen rather than he'd caused them to happen.
In 1 year, 1928, Sir Hubert achieved an extraordinary double of being the first to fly across the Arctic and later the Antarctic.
You flew them all the way. There was no automatic pilot, no remote control or anything of that sort. It was hands-on job the whole time.
Even fellow aviation pioneer Nancy Bird Walton is in awe of the efforts of Sir Hubert in flying a primitive aircraft in such trying conditions.
They lost the single-engined aircraft. It stuck on the ice. They couldn't get it off, and Carl Ben Ailson, his pilot, and Hubert Wilkins walked back 100 miles, and even the Eskimos wondered how they'd survived.
Sir Hubert's adventures began when he shot the world's first combat film during the Balkan War of 1912. He won the Military Cross for his bravery in the First World War. Then, after a stint filming the Russian Revolution, he began his polar excursions, where his work included trying to create long-range weather forecasting stations, a vision motivated by his own childhood in drought-stricken South Australia.
We now understand the weather a great deal, far more intelligently than we did then, and it's through Wilkins that we do understand our environment a great deal more. So he was an early a greenie.
As well as his own feats, Sir Hubert played a secondary role in one of the great achievements of Australian aviation. He sold a Fokker monoplane to a then unknown pilot named Charles Kingsford Smith. He called it the Southern Cross, and the rest is history. And although Sir Hubert is unknown to most Australians, his feats inspired modern-day adventurer Dick Smith.
He's my hero because he was Australia's greatest adventurer. You have Mawson, who was a great explorer, he was a scientist. But Wilkins was an adventurer because he had to go at everything, from submarines under the Arctic to balloons around the world to, at one stage, being the first person to fly in Antarctica. So he's incredibly versatile.
In researching Sir Hubert's life, Dick Smith was horrified to find his birthplace a ruin, and he began a campaign to restore the homestead as a permanent memorial to his hero. With money raised by the Australian Geographic and Hallett Historical Societies, the modest stone cottage has been rebuilt, and on Sunday, hundreds of people came to the bleak site to honour its favourite son.
That's it, and we open the door. We declare the building open. Fantastic.
After a flyover by a replica of the Southern Cross, a queue formed to see the homestead, and in line was Alan Craig, who'd travelled from Geelong to visit the place where his great-uncle had been born.
It really is wonderful to see everything being done so wonderfully for Uncle George. He was quite a man.
When Alan was a teenager, he didn't have to read boys' own annuals for tales of daring. He'd just ask Uncle George to tell him about the time he bought a surplus US Navy submarine for $1 and attempted to sail it under the North Pole.
And it must have been a wonderful experience. He said the crew virtually almost mutinied, and he was forced to turn. In the book it said that he had technical problems, but the technical problems were more with the crew, I think.
Why is he forgotten then?
I think he's forgotten because he was too successful. See, no one ever died. He never had any epic journeys, and whereas, say, Smithy and Hinkler, they all died when they were adventuring, and so they sort of became mythological. Wilkins was such a good risk manager that he just was successful, and so he died of old age.
The cottage opening was so successful the women of Hallett almost couldn't keep up with the catering. But the rush was welcome proof that the memory of Sir Hubert is rapidly growing.
They've had a lot of tourists come, and it's very well marked, and I think the neighbouring towns will benefit from this as well. Hallett's very small and there's not a lot there, but we're very proud of it, proud of our hall and our achievement.
And of their great adventurer.
Mike Sexton reporting on a great man and a great part of Australian history. That's the program for tonight. We'll be back